Torah portion, actually it's in the second portion, it's a double portion this year, we see this very grandiose concept that Hashem presents to the people of Israel. This concept is of blessing and cursing, or curses. And many times we find these discussions a bit uncomfortable, especially the cursing part, because we think, "Ooh, God is going to curse them if they don't." Well, I hope tonight that I can explain it in such a way that you would understand that there is a secret to living in consistent blessing, to live consistently with good things happen to you in your life. It doesn't mean that everything is always going to be good. At the same time, being able to have good things happen to you and to be able to live in a happy place, to be able to have the good things of Hashem. And the Torah portion, Bechokotai, provides a long list of blessings that God bestows on the nation of Israel. And the blessings are conditional. And God declares that the blessings will only come to fruition if we obey God's laws and commands. On the other hand, God provides in an even longer list of curses. Understandably, the curses will fall upon us if we rebel against God and ignore his commands. In these descriptions, as we read through the text, there's very much a sense of God-man relationship being reciprocal. And I think that if we're going to analyze this whole concept of blessing and curse, is to understand the secret behind the blessing or the curse, because there are a lot of people, there are a lot of individuals who live their life in difficulties or curses, what I say. You're just having very difficult times of their life, and they don't know the secret as to why they have these difficult times. I'm going to tell you right now, it's about this reciprocal relationship that we have with man. If man is good and obedient and follows God's laws, God will show his goodness to man. And if man betrays God, violates God's wishes and instructions, God's wrath will be unleashed upon that individual and upon the nation of Israel. We've seen this over and over. The Bechor Shor in Leviticus 25, verse 5, delves deeper into the idea of reciprocal relationship and explains that the reciprocity can be quite direct and highly dependent not only on what we do, but also on whether it's consistent. And here is the key, the consistency or not. He suggests that God is expecting us to be consistently devoted to him, not just once in a while or when we feel like it or when it's convenient. God expects us to continuously be cognizant and obedient to his commandments. We talked about this the other day. He wants us to be consistently occupied with Torah. If we are steadfast in taking God's request serious and that he is unwavering in bestowing his blessing upon us, his blessings won't be just once in a while, but consistent. Do you understand? It's the reciprocal agreement that we have with the Holy One, blessed be he, that if we are consistent in our Torah study, our devotion, our state of mind, what we think about, how we process things, how we treat other people, Hashem will have the same state of mind towards you. Remember a text that we have talked and read about many times where Hashem says that if you treat my laws casually, or if you treat me casually, I will treat you casually. It seems that this law of you give and you receive according to what you are practicing. Now, the blessing states this. I want to read this. It's in the text. It says, your threshing shall overtake the vintage, and your vintage shall overtake the sowing. You shall eat your fill of bread and dwell securely in your land. I will grant you peace in the land, and you will lie down untroubled by anyone. An incredible promise that God gives the people of God. Bechor details that there will be an uninterrupted stream of material blessing. There will not be anything lacking. We will be healthy, we'll be strong, we'll be safe, secure, and we will be able to fully enjoy all of these material blessings without any fear or concern. There is no lack when it comes to God's attention to detail on how he takes care of us. However, to receive the uninterrupted blessings from God, he requires that we provide uninterrupted service to him. It's a two-way relationship. We have to earn our blessings. God doesn't provide plenty of unearned blessings continuously. But Bechor Shor implies that to reach the level of full, unending blessings requires a more serious commitment on the part of us. With this in mind, I would like to look at this idea that sort of further initiates the secret and the blessing on the surface. Let's just look at this on the surface and then we dive into it. It seems that the book of Leviticus ends with this stern admonition. It almost seems a bit scary. If you follow all of these commandments that God has given you, then you will be rewarded. And if you do not, you will pay the price. If you're good, then life will go good for you. If you're bad, you will bring suffering upon yourself. When we look around, and in my life, and in the world around us, we see plenty of people suffering who are good people. And then there are plenty of those who act immorally, enjoying the fruits of their crime. I am sent to find a deeper meaning behind this idea of blessing and curses. When I open to the tone of the text and not just the content of the feeling of familiarity that washes over me while I'm reading this. We've read it every year and we go blessings and curses. You choose one. If you like it, do it. If you don't like it, don't do it. If you want blessing, take it. You take it by living in a blessing. Bechotai, describes two different states of consciousness, which may become the lens of perception that mediate our experiences of life's gifts and challenges. I believe we experience a divineness, a heaven, and a hell right here on this earth. It's produced in our minds. We produce either the goodness and the blessing of God, or we produce the chaos. The first state that Bechotai describes what might be called the divine or heaven state. We notice the miraculous change of the seasons and really taste the fruit of each moment. There's a sense of wholeness and enoughness in this divine space in our mind and spirit. And in whatever we have, and a feeling of unlimited safety regardless of the changing circumstances. A person who is living in this heavenly state of mind is a person, regardless of their circumstance, they're satisfied. They're content. And that satisfaction and contentment brings more blessing. In our consciousness of heaven, we are not ruled by fear. Thus, we're not overwhelmed by whatever enemy or obstacle we encounter. This is the difference between someone who lives in chaos and someone who lives in a divine conscious. In the state of consciousness, there is a sense of spaciousness and possibility. The Torah awakens us to the possibility of constant loving kindness from the Creator. As it says in Deuteronomy 11, then you and your children will live out on earth the divine promise given to your ancestors to live heavenly days right here on earth. Rab Zalman's translation of Deuteronomy 11:9. Once we fully experience this state of heaven or divine consciousness, it can become a seed that we carry within to remind us that the liberation from slavery of hell has always been possible. It's always been possible to live in blessing. Bechokotai goes on to warn us about the other state of consciousness, and that we might call it sort of the chaotic, hellacious, non-divine state of mind. When we are in this state of mind, it seems that God is everyone and everyone else is against us. We've often heard from people in disasters, why did God do this to me? We had a young man in our home this week and saw the pictures of the damage from the house, and he goes, you people are too good to deserve this. And my wife says, you remember this verse? It rains on the just and the unjust alike. The difference is that we didn't have a disaster state of mind. We just went on continuing to do what we do, and we've experienced the incredible blessing for that. If you are in this state of mind of chaos and not following the Torah and ignoring the prompts of the Creator, blessed be He, it seems at some point that God is against you. It means that we're ruled by that same fear. Every challenge we face feels impossible. We're obsessed with a nagging feeling of lack of and preoccupied with the sense that something is wrong, that something is not right. Even when we eat, we're not sated or satisfied. In this state of hell or chaos, even the sound of a driven leaf would frighten us. It says in Leviticus 26:36, will frighten us. A leaf will frighten us and send us running. Think about this. Here is Hashem saying, if you want to know what that state of mind is going to be, if you don't follow my ways, even a leaf will cause you to run. It says, we feel like strangers and life itself seems like an enemy. This place of hellacious consciousness, anxiety causes us to be always on defense, and our uncircumcised heart is layered over with armor that prevents us from knowing the true joy or receiving the divine indwelling presence. The blessing of this parsha comes as we begin to recognize the two states in our mind in our own experience. This recognition is the beginning of freedom from the tyranny of the mind. What Hashem is trying to tell his people, if you want to live in blessing, then you choose blessing. Remember the mountains, and it choose the blessings of curses, or the choose curses or blessing. We learn that heaven is, or this heaven state is our true nature. And when we feel lost in this space called the chaos of the mind or the hell of the mind, we can remember that God's loving kindness is offered to us, and that is only a matter of time until we find the path that leads us home. With that being said, I have to challenge each one of us to examine ourselves and ask, are we living in a divine state of mind, a heaven state of mind, or a chaos state of mind? And if we are living in that space, and if we are following after the commandments of God, you can know the secret of blessing that's going to come in your life. Good things will come in your life. And when I talk about consistency, I'm not talking about always being perfect. This is not the case. The consistency means that in my peaks and valleys of my journey, I'm constantly stayed focused on Him, on the Creator, constantly stayed focused on the Torah, constantly keeping myself engaged with what is right and pure and good. That is the secret to living in consistent blessing. This concludes my part of the lecture. Let's open up into some discussion. How about it?